Hello there, everyone. It's Ben again. Recently, I've been going back to school, so whenever I have time, I crawl out of my rock I've been living under to make a video or two. I actually haven't been playing that many RPGs recently. I just haven't had the time. I've actually been playing a lot of Commander, like way too much. After I'd finished up the Star Wars game, I kind of swore off using canon characters or plot lines in my games. It kind of sucks having all these plot-relevant people running around. My recent fix has been on Fabula Ultima, which is a JRPG RPG. I've been kind of on a JRPG kick, going through all the old Final Fantasies and Persona again. So, what is Fabula Ultima? Well, it's an RPG that is all about trying to emulate that sort of traditional JRPG feel, if you will, with a few exceptions. We'll get into those. One of the problems that I've had is kind of looking at anime RPG content is that I'm kind of not really looking for anime content per se. Like, the anime content is so different that it's kind of hard to make a game that's able to cover everything. Like, we've got some hard science, down to earth, and then on the other end, you have stuff like One Piece. I know that the game Besom works, Big Eyes, Small Mouth, and to try and cover that, but it just, it seems like it's a bit too much like GURPS for my taste. But eventually, that's how I found my way over to the game Fabula Ultima, which once again is a take on the JRPG genre. So, a few interesting quirks about the game and how it works. Number one is that all of the characters must multi-class. All the characters start out at 5th level, and you pick at least 2 classes to mesh together. Whenever you level up, you pick a class and get an ability from that class. You can even put additional levels into that specific skill to specialize in it. Another weird quirk is how rolling works. There's only 4 base stats and no skills. The 4 base stats are Might, Dex, Insight, and Willpower, where Willpower is kind of like your Charisma and Wisdom, whereas Insight is more of used for knowledge and inciting people, I guess you'd say. Each one is tied to a die. The weird quirk is that every roll that you make uses 2 stats. Sometimes it's the same one twice. Some examples that I have are picking up a boulder is Might, but throwing the boulder is Might Dex. A rogue picking a lock might be Insight Dexterity, while balancing on a beam could be Dex, while asking around to investigate could be Insight plus Willpower, while just flirting might be Willpower. I find it actually kind of a pretty clever solution because there's a lot of stuff in other RPGs that comes up like, well, you know, is climbing strength, is a Dex, and it's like just roll them together. So that's how they're able to get the 16 different rolls from just the 4 base dice. So, combat. There's no movement. It just assumes that if you are in the same scene with the characters, you can interact with them. You only get 1 action per turn, and if you want to escape, you need to spend that action to escape. It also uses clocks, which are pretty cool in combat, where you have some mechanic or thing that's ticking up that the players need to commit actions to deal with it. And these particular clocks can be used for a variety of different things, like trying to persuade characters out of fighting them, stopping a fire, rescuing civilians, and so on. I also found myself really enjoying the team-based initiative system, where you have the player team and then the enemy team. It doesn't matter in what order, and players can mix and match and kind of strategize. I like that. The thing that I like about it that is going to be very blasphemous, but this is how I feel, is that it pays homage to JRPGs without being too referential. I'll give you a few examples. First thing that might surprise people is that your stats never go up as you level up, which at first I was like, well, that's not in the genre, but I really like it because from my perspective, I kind of get to keep the math tight and I don't have to keep adjusting for everything. Your HP goes up at about 1 hit point per level, which is, it's fine for me. I'm not the biggest fan of HP bloat in some other games. The other weird thing is with items. Your characters have access to these things called inventory points, and you burn them to gain access to certain items. Like, for example, if someone needed a potion or a screwdriver, some kind of mundane item, they could just burn some inventory points and they pull it out of their bag. Or, like, for example, let's say your character wanted to be like, I pull out some chloroform, and the other players are like, wait a second, you can't just pull out chloroform from your bag. And the GM goes, it does seem like it is in the rules since they allow you to pull out potions and whatnot, and what is chloroform except the opposite of a remedy? well, I guess it'll cost you 3 inventory points. And they're like, well, that's not even how chloroform works. You can't just cover it in a rag and use it on someone's mouth like that in the movies. And then the player goes, hey, Ben, can I pull out a vial of some substance that I have invented and refer to it in this world as chloroform, which works exactly as it does in the movies and has no relevance to our real world chloroform? Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. The thing that I realized now playing Fallout New Vegas and Baldur's Gate 3 is that video games are really good at handling the minutia of bonuses and resource management. I think that it can be burdensome sometimes in tabletop games, so I'm glad they don't have a major focus on it. The interesting thing is that the game is very light, and I think it's trying to appeal more to the younger kids and be more approachable. But the flip side of that is that if you are playing and you have a group that prefer crunchier systems, they may not enjoy it as much. Now, there are a few other interesting quirks that came up in our game. The first one had to do with Fabula points. What are Fabula points? Well, they're these points that are used to reroll dice and give yourself a bonus. The thing is, they're only supposed to be used for character moments like, I missed my attack roll on the apple pie monster. However, unbeknownst to you, I come from a long line of bakery chefs, and my honed training in cleaving apple pies means that I get to reroll the attack on the monster. Thing is, while they're only supposed to be used for character moments, it does put the onus on the players to use them in narrative ways. Another weird aspect of it is that they don't have player races. If you pick a race, it is entirely cosmetic. I think they did it for practical reasons, because the problem is that a lot of JRPGs have custom races that are tied to that specific IP, and it's kind of hard to have a consistent set of races that would apply to many, many different ones in the sphere. I do kind of like it. I also know that Anima Beyond Fantasy, also tried to, it was another JRPG, and they tried this with their own races where they had like the Nephilim, the Da'ajani, the Ebudan, and the Daima. And even though they have the custom races, it does give Anima a unique identity, which sometimes you want that and sometimes you don't. But anyway, back to Fabula Ultima. I don't know how long I'm going to be playing this game, but maybe just for the summer. I don't see myself running multiple campaigns in it. But if you think it sounds interesting, why don't you check it out? Because it's pretty cool, and I've had quite a bit of fun with it. The players have had mixed feelings about it. They like it, but sometimes it's like, it's a little bit too simple. All right, anyway, hope you guys have a good day. All right, bye-bye!